Hey there YouTube, thanks for joining me for part 2 of Sierra Nevada's Kellerweiss by Jay's Beer Reviews. I got my beer right here, I got my glass here. Now, I know I've been using some fancy glasses so far. This is the first time I'm going to pull out my regular Nonic. And so I did that because, well, a couple things. Number one, I like that it's very thin-walled. Number two, it's just very comfortable in the hand. And then number three, I need a 16-ounce glass, which is what this is, to pour my 12-ounce beer into. And the reason for that is because I already know that the German Hefeweizen style, these wheat beers, when you pour them, it is full of protein from the wheat, so it is going to get a big cloudy head on it. And so I want to pour it, and my goal when I pour this is to have the entire glass full. So we'll see. We'll see. So let's find out if we can do it. Let's pour the beer. So you guys got some notes about the beer, so I'm going to go ahead and open it and start pouring. Like it says on the label, I'm going to try and pour the 2/3, and then I'm going to kind of swirl it around. Maybe I'll put it on the table. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's find out what happens as I pour this beer. Nice effervescence to it. I can really, you hear it as you pour in the glass. Okay, so I got the majority of the beer. You can see how much I got there. All right, so I did that. I'm going to take it. I'm going to swirl it. I'm just going to swirl it. Just keep swirling. Swirl it. Just going to swirl it. Swirl, swirl, swirl. See, now, of course, swirling it, of course, is making a huge head on it, which is okay because I can just pour it right into the glass. It is a good-looking beer. Nothing crazy. So let me go ahead and I'm going to just empty what's left into my upright glass. So now, what I will say is that as I did that, before I poured the rest of the beer in, it was kind of cloudy. It was a little bit cloudy. But now, as I poured the rest of it in, after I kind of swirled the bottle and everything, it is like straight up opaque. You cannot even see through it. Before I did that, I could see through it, but now there's absolutely nothing. So it's a good-looking beer. It looks very traditional. It looks like I got the rays of the sun in a glass. Very handsome-looking beer. It's like a fresh squeezed orange juice almost, is what it looks like in color and in clarity. The head on it is very, very pillowy. It's got like some divots in it, parts where the head of it had broken apart. It looks very appealing. So let me go ahead and I definitely get some banana, definitely get some clove, get a little bit of like a wet dog. I get a kind of like minerally character, like rocks left out in the rain. Oh. Davy Murray's making a comeback. It's very nice, but I will say it's definitely light in character. I just want to drink it. Let's take a sip, find out. Sip number 1, Jay's Beer Reviews. Enjoy it. It's good. It's got a strong effervescence. It's really filled my mouth up with gas. I get a kind of, I want to say like initially it was like a butterscotch, now melding to like a kind of caramel in the malt, which traditionally you wouldn't use a caramel malt in it. It's kind of fading into even like a kind of cotton candy flavor. I know the style guidelines say like there's a perceived sweetness based on low hopping. I know like with that cotton candy thing, I'm definitely tasting cotton candy, but it's not like cotton candy sweet. It's definitely more like a flavor than it is a sweet. A bit of banana in the upfront, and then it melds into that clove. It's good. It's got nice flavor, and it's not overwhelming. I get even like a kind of pear flavor from this. Like I took a bite out of a fresh pear, It's very, very juicy, very supple, very delicious. It's really tasty. And it's got a very rich carbonation to it as well. I'm getting like these very, let's call it like very, very prickly, very big bubbles. Kind of like when you crack open a can of seltzer water, that first sip almost burns your mouth. I'm getting the same texture from it, but it's definitely not burning my mouth at all. First time I noticed this, I'm getting almost like a silky texture. Kind of left the roof of my mouth feeling a little bit, smoother, And as for really the malt, it's got a little bit of like a toast to it almost. But it's very clean, very refreshing. And I just got like a kind of like cherry almond from it. Like if you guys have ever used, it's like Jergens or something. It's like I remember my mom used to have this soap she used to use, but it's this like cherry almond, scented, hand lotion or soap or whatever. And I just got a little bit of that right here. And I know my mind is associating it with soap, but I'm not trying to say that it's in a bad way. That's just an association that I make with it from my personal experience. I will say this, I get, I'm going to call it a wet character. And by that I mean like, I'm getting kind of like a wet concrete. It's kind of like, it's a very moist character. That word moist. Ugh. The texture of it is very nice. It's very silky, very velvety, without being overwhelming. And really the bitterness is like non-existent. I mean, there's something there, but it's very restrained in bitterness. There's, yeah, a little bit of cotton candy that kind of melds into a little bit of like a bubble gum. I get it. Makes sense. So there's the whole 12 ounce. I really enjoyed it. I can definitely see this doing well in the summertime. When it's hot, you're outside, you're cooking. You know, nothing really beats a cold, refreshing beer when you come in from the outside. You're outside doing some housework or something, you know, really. So as for price on this one, it runs me about $10 for a six pack, which is really on par with all the other local beers that I have available. As far as flavor-wise, I think this is probably one of the better versions of an American German wheat beer, like a German wheat beer that's made by Americans. Honestly, I don't think you can beat it unless you actually go for a traditional German wheat beer. So Sierra Nevada, definitely a win if you want to pick up the Kellerweiss. It's a great beer. I highly recommend you give it a try if you haven't already. Great beer for drinking over the summer, which is coming up very soon. Very close to tradition, which I appreciate. And hey guys, I also appreciate you putting the date on twice. It's very cool. Everyone should do it. Hey, you know what? Rather than put it on twice, put the date on once. Come on, breweries. Listen up. Put the date on. All right, so Jay's beer review. I really enjoyed Sierra Nevada's Kellerweiss. I hope you do too. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Jay's Beer Reviews. If you did, please hit the like button down at the bottom. Please also hit the subscribe button. That way you see my new episodes. Speaking of which, my next episode, I will be doing this here, Capital Brewery's Maibock. Hit the subscribe button. That way you'll see it when it comes out, you turkey. Thanks for joining Jay's Beer Reviews. See you guys next time.